I decided to do my final job work analysis project on the role of a clinical manager. So the purpose of this analysis was to create comprehensive duty task and KSAO lists that are representative of the selected occupation. It was also to make sure accurate job descriptions are being made that include essential tasks and elements to allow all who apply have a lawful chance of getting hired. One major reason for conducting this job analysis is Organizations in Americans with Disabilities Act, or DACA. This act requires employers to consider for hire, all, or employment any person who can perform the essential elements of the job. The act assumes that if a person can perform the essential tasks or elements of this job, then the employer can provide reasonable accommodation to the employee. Since this act passed, many organizations have begun to place in all job descriptions a statement of the job's essential tasks and elements, so conducting an accurate job analysis supports this. The methodology for my job analysis was to gather background, conduct initial research, compose questionnaire and interview templates, identify SMEs, carry out interview and questionnaire processes, and compile and compose final results. So a little bit of the background on the company I chose. The company was Cincinnati Children's Hospital and Medical Center. They are a nonprofit academic medical center established in 1883 and one of the oldest and most distinguished pediatric hospitals in the United States. They have multiple different hospitals around the Cincinnati area, but I chose the College Hill location. They are a psychiatric hospital that opened in 2002 and offers a wide range of pediatric and adolescent mental and behavioral health services. They also offer outpatient services, inpatient crisis stabilization, and residential treatment facilities. I chose to conduct a job analysis on a clinical manager. My current occupation is a behavioral health specialist. I report to this position and work hand in hand with them during daily operations. The clinical manager role I targeted worked on the adolescent floor, which is 13 to 18 years old, and inpatient, which deals with crisis stabilization, in which we see patients for 3 to 5 days. So for my initial research, I wanted to gather data from job descriptions from other tri-state area hospitals. So I chose to look at Cincinnati Children's Hospital Medical Center and the University of Cincinnati Medical Center. I also utilized ONET and found a summary report for medical and health services managers. I struggled finding anything on ONET related specifically to clinical managers or managers in mental and behavioral health. So this was the closest description I could locate for my targeted job. I used ONET mainly to find preliminary tasks and preliminary KSAOs. I was able to find tasks directly related to my targeted job, but did have to tweak some to fit the inpatient and medical health environment. As for the KSAOs, most fit and were able to be used on secondary research documentation. As for my subject matter experts, experts are individuals who exhibit the highest level of expertise in performing a specialized job, task, or skill within the organization. So my first SME, he had 8 years of experience on an adolescent inpatient floor as an RN or charge RN. They also had 1 year experience in the clinical manager role at CCHMC. The second SME had multiple previous managerial positions at different local hospitals. Some of those hospitals included Good Samaritan, Tri-Health, and St. Elizabeth. They also had 9 years of experience in the clinical manager role at CCHMC. I first created the questionnaire. A job analysis questionnaire is a tool used to evaluate job classification and create job descriptors. The purpose of this questionnaire was to identify duties and tasks for the clinical manager position. They were asked to identify duties performed, how often the duty was performed, importance of the duty, and tasks involved to complete related duty. Likert scales were used to rate the importance of the duty and frequency it was completed. The importance scale was 0 to 3, 0 being unimportant and 3 being essential. And frequency of use scale was 0 to 3, 0 being never performed and 3 being frequently performed. SMEs were then asked to identify tasks that they accomplished to complete the duty. A job analysis interview is a method to collect a variety of information from an incumbent by asking the incumbent to describe the tasks and duties performed. I chose to do semi-structured interviews that included prompts and questions. The prompts consisted of the first kind of thing that I said in the interview, which was walk me through a typical day as a clinical manager. Questions range from which tasks that you described earlier would you consider top priority tasks, and which tasks do you complete the most often? As for my results, this was the job description that I eventually came up with for a clinical manager. It was to provide clinical practice leadership for the operation of mental health inpatient service departments within a medical center dedicated to the care of infants, children, and adolescents. To direct clinical practice, coordinate patient service delivery, coach and develop staff, and manage the work environment. To serve as a resource for mental and behavioral health for adolescent and patient departments. I was able to identify 8 duties, and those duties were communicating, documentation and recording information, making decisions and problem solving, coaching and developing others, analyzing data and information, resolving conflict, performing administrative duties, and staffing. I was able to also identify 48 tasks related to those duties. I had 8 for the communicating, 6 for documentation and recording information, 5 for making decisions and problem solving, 6 for coaching and developing others, 5 for analyzing data and information, 5 for resolving conflict, 6 for performing administrative activities, and 6 for staffing. As for the KSAOs, there was a total of 32. I had 8 for knowledge, 13 for skills, and 11 for abilities. Some of the examples, I'm going to use communicating because since it had the most tasks identified. So one of the knowledges I identified for communicating was the knowledge of the structure and content of the English language, including the meaning and spelling of words, rules, and composition and grammar. One of the skills was to talk to others to convey information efficiently. And ability was the ability to listen and understand information and ideas presented in different medias. And these were some of my references that I used to conduct my job analysis. Thank you for listening.